Hi, folks. Thanks for tuning in. I'm very honored today to have our friend Ted Heap on the show. Ted is running for Harris County Precinct 5 Constable. He is also the current constable for our area. How you doing, Ted?
I'm doing well, Jimmy. Thank you for having me on.
Ted, I know it's a very difficult time for all of us. You have a big family with the pandemic, with the election. It is stressful for all of us. So I appreciate you for having the time to come up here to talk to our voters. Ted, there's a lot of things out there that people don't know about you. I really want you to be able to tell our viewers what makes you stand out as not just as an officer, but as our friend, as a neighbor.
Well, I think, Jimmy, that each and every one of us, regardless of what we do for a living, regardless of whether or not we're running for office, we have to be true to ourselves. I mean, we have to like who we see in the mirror in the morning. And, I tell the young officers that I'm swearing in that when this badge becomes your identity, then you have a problem. I mean, I look at this as a spoke in the wheel of who we are as people. This is what I do for a living. But I'm also a father, I'm a grandfather, I'm a person of faith, I'm a neighbor, I'm somebody's son. So this makes up who we are. So to me, this is about, when you said, what do I want people to know about me? I want them to know that regardless if I'm in a uniform or if I'm worshiping or if I'm at a Special Olympics event, whatever the case may be, I want them to know that it's the same person. That this is about service. It's about serving our community. And I think that when we realize who is in our community and who constitutes our community, then we're all going to be a lot better off.
I mean, you've been in this community for all your life, 50-some years living in Harris County, Precinct 5. You've been a police officer for nearly 37 years. When you signed up, you just wanted to be an officer. You didn't know that it entails you have to run for office. You have to win elections now, because that's not what you're about. You're somebody that's dependable. You work. I know this because the people that you've hired since you've been in office have been open to our community, to Asian American community, to all minority communities. We know who you hired. They are very active. They listen. We have access, and you could hear our concerns. And the numbers doesn't lie. It's you've done a good job. And then you mentioned that being a deacon and also being involved in Special Olympics. Why don't we talk about being a deacon? Because I don't think I know any other constables or police chiefs or sheriffs in our area that is a deacon in church. That's a great honor.
Well, it is. I was ordained back in 2003, and in this process, it's once again, it's about service. The diaconate or being a deacon is about service. So to me, it was kind of a very natural thing. When I was 21 years old, I became a police officer. So at 21, I had a desire to make a difference and to serve the community. So this really kind of played into it. I got to a place in my life where I was saying, what is it that God has in store for me next? I'm serving the community in this lay position. And then he led me through a lot of discernment to being able to serve his holy people, throughout the church.
You were operating at a much higher moral ground because of the fact that that you were carrying a more of a integrity, more responsibility. Because being a deacon, there's a lot of things you do that is very important in people's lives. Tell us what entails. What do you do as a deacon in the church?
Well, the diaconate or being a deacon, the true ministry of a deacon is one of charity and service. So it's really about the community. It's about the orphans. It's about the widows. It's about the elderly. So it's about the people within the community. Now, when you take that and you bring it inside of the realm of the church, then it becomes about things such as sacraments of baptism and marriage and funerals and things like this. But the main focus of the deacon is not within the confines of that building. It's out in the community. It's about making a difference to those who are in need in the community.
It sounds very familiar. It sounds like it also relates to the second job, which is being a police officer. Now, I know that you have you have funded and appointed a lot of community outreach programs, and you've trained officers a lot more in the last few years. Could you tell us a little bit about that, about the free programs and the training?
Well, we have, Jimmy. Since I took office, we've actually upped our training by 174% from where the officers were. Were they undertrained? Absolutely not. They were above state standards. But the more we train, and I'm not talking all about physical training, a lot of it is communication. A lot of it is de-escalation. A lot of it is cultural awareness, things of this nature, then we're going to be better officers. When we're better people, we're going to be better officers. So this was something that came natural. We started programs, though, such as our Silver Watch, which is an opportunity for our seniors to register and sign up, to where we go by on a regular basis and talk to our seniors. Why? Because they may not have family members who can talk to them on a regular basis. They may be concerned about scams that are going on and things of this nature. So they become friends with an officer, and then they're not scared to be able to ask this officer for help and advice and guidance. And we have many, over 20, 25, I would say, different programs, and they're all free of charge. Nothing costs any money. And if you can go on and just and look at these, we have a RAD class, which is a rape aggressive defense class. It sounds very scary, but it's for women, taught by women. And the beautiful part about this is that a community, whether or not it's through your church or your cultural community, can request this class be taught. So you can actually have a group of 20, 25 Asian American women who want to take this class. We would teach it, and we would teach it either in their facility or in ours, depending on if we have the room to do that. So it's a great class.
I love hearing about this, and I know that you actually did all this because, like I said, the officers that you have hired and trained are part of our community. You have officers that speak our language that we know we can depend on, that we know we can reach out to, and it's been like that for the past few years. So it's very concerning to me when we have someone running against you that doesn't have the experience, that is unemployed, that have not reached out to community that we don't know anything about. I also want to bring up the fact that you also work on protecting our environment and also on abused animals. I think that really resonates with family people like us. That's rare because that you wouldn't think that is part of the requirements of the constable's office. Could you talk a little bit about that?
It originally was not. It didn't teach our officers in the basic academy about these things. But what we're finding out is that, they are a part. My animals or my pets are part of my life, and I'm sure for many of your viewers, it's the same way. And of course, we're all concerned about our environment. But you mentioned having officers within the department that speak the language and stuff. I would say that probably this was the most beneficial thing for me, was to appoint cultural liaisons. In other words, Corporal Michael Lee is our liaison to the Asian American community. And Michael is able to bring back to me concerns of the community, needs of the community. He's able to take what we do in our department and be able to bring that to the community. Sometimes it's through a language barrier that we break those ties, but it's also because of cultural ignorance. And when we as officers better understand the cultural lifestyle of somebody, then we can better serve them.
Ted, I love that you say that because Corporal Lee is a very good reflection of your office because he works tirelessly. He's always open to our community's concerns. He's always been there for us. He is really, he's on the call. In our community, we know. I know our community. He's somebody that's dependable, and that represents your office. So now that comes to the fact that is very concerning to me. You've been an officer for 37 years, up until last few years, because this office requires you to run for it. There's never been any issues or problems. And now we're seeing, recently a frivolous lawsuit that has nothing to do with you personally. So let me tell our viewers a little bit about it. Maybe they know about it or they don't. But from my research, from who I've spoke with, the Texas Rangers has already taken over the investigation. There's a person that broke the law. Your officers followed the law, detained this person very quickly, and the case is settled. But because it's an election, because this negative kind of campaigning and mudslinging, apparently it works for some people, which our viewers do not come down, decides to do this to file a lawsuit against your office against you, even though you're not the one that made the arrest, even though that laws were broken, even though the state has taken over. The sad thing is when the election's over, this case will go away no matter, it's going to go away. But yet the innuendo, the conspiracy theories, it is a stain. It is not fair because you cannot defend it because you're in office right now. You cannot even make comments on it. So I'm bringing up from what my research, from what I spoke, the people I spoke with, is it clear cut? It is very clear. It's black and white. There's no if or what's. So let's just say that I hope that answers some of our voters' questions. I hope that when you guys go out there and vote this coming up week in election day, look at Ted's name because he really has been there for a community. He's a family man. He has conservative values, but he also understands the diversity that is happening in our district. He has proven that he knows the cultural differences. He has proven and done the work to reach out to our communities. Our crime rate has dropped. He has increased patrols. I mean, he is a deacon at church. He works with Special Olympics. By the way, speaking of Special Olympics, you do a lot of work with them because of Andrew, your son?
That's correct. My youngest son, Andrew, who is 25, is a 3-sport gold medalist in Special Olympics. So he's a wonderful swimmer. He runs track. He plays basketball. So Special Olympics is a big part of his community, and I'm just very privileged to be called coach by many of them. So you develop that relationship, and it's a very love. We could learn so much from certain parts of our population because we learn how to accept people for who they are. And to love somebody and to accept people. Jimmy, you talked about the lawsuit, and the only reason I cannot clarify is because there has been litigation, so I just can't comment on it. But when somebody is accused of something that they have no culpability, no liability, have not been involved in at all, it's not about this uniform. It's not about the color of my skin or anything. You take all of that away, and what you do is you attack a person's dignity. And that's all we have left is our dignity. And that's the part that hurts the most, is you try to serve. So it doesn't make a difference what side of the badge you're on or what side of town you live on. I think it's about a mutual respect and treating each other and allowing people to have that dignity, which we're all entitled to.
I love what you just said. You've always shown a lot of compassion and empathy for everyone that lives in your district, in Harris County, Precinct 5. Compassion, empathy, that's a very important word in your position to have. That's also why we know that there's a lot of, we talk about criminal reform, we talk about social justice. These are things that you don't just talk about, you understand it. You've been doing it because you can see the other side. You're not the image of someone that's in a uniform. You've been there, you're in the neighborhoods. It's very rare to have employees speak so highly of their boss. Now, I'm not going to tell you who said what, but I have employees. I don't expect my employees to speak highly of me behind my back, but every one of your constables speak very highly of you. The loyalty they've exhibited, the community leaders I spoke with in the Asian American community, they really love you, Ted. I use the word love because you've shown a lot of love to the people in your district. I appreciate you taking the time. I know your schedule is busy, and I know you value your family time. But I want our viewers to go out there when you vote to remember to go down the ballot, look at Ted's name, and think about what he's done in 37 years. He's one of us. He is definitely one of us. So on an ending note, thank you, Ted. Please say hi to Mrs. Heap and the kids for me. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Jimmy, thank you very much. The honor has been mine. I appreciate it, and I would love talking to you, to the community, at any opportunity I have.
Thank you, Ted. Take care.
Thank you.